Let's bring in a member of the House Judiciary Committee, New Jersey Congressman Jeff Van Drew. It's great to see you, Congressman. This division within the Department of Homeland Security was actually set up under President Trump's Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency. When will all Republicans figure out the bigger government gets, the more insidious it gets, the more power you give these dangerous bureaucrats, the more they'll abuse it, starting with the very First Amendment of the Constitution?
We've got to, I don't have to figure it out. I know it to be fact. I mean, the bigger we make government, the more powerful we make government, is the worse that it gets. I mean, government should be there to take care of the essentials of life, to ensure safety and to ensure the health of our people, to make sure that we are able to defend ourselves. And we have moved into every area of life. And so what do we see? Misinformation, disinformation, whatever you want to call it, it's the same thing. And now they're using it against conservatives. They're using it against people that are pro-American. They're using it against anybody that believes in American exceptionalism, whether it was what is now X and then was Twitter, whether it's the Twitter files. Unbelievable stuff, even on Twitter, where they were using Twitter and they literally from the White House, information was going from the administration to Twitter. We have the emails that essentially says to, not allow a free discussion of ideas and certainly to censor conservatives. It's enough. I'm sick of it. I'm tired of it. Americans are tired of it. And let me give you one statistic. 91% of Americans believe that conservatives and Republicans don't have equal access to put out their information. That's a whole lot. I don't know many polls that 91% of the people think anything. People know, they're finding out, it's wrong, we're tired of it.
Congressman, the only language that D.C. understands is money. And so there was an amendment on the floor a little over a month ago that would have taken 25% of the money away from CISA. Now, CISA is under Homeland Security. CISA has been the nerve center of all of this censorship. And 109 Republicans voted against taking away 25% of this nerve center's money that's censoring conservatives. So if conservatives won't stand up and take money away from an abusive agency, who's going to do it?
Look, we got to see the end game. As conservatives and just representing the hardworking people of this country who are breaking their back to get through life every day, we're wasting money on this stuff, but it's worse than waste. It really is about the end game, whether we want to keep the Republic. It's that serious. Do we want to keep the Republic? It's not just the Republican Party. Or do we want to change this country into something that we've never seen before in America, that we're just like every other country? I want to keep the Republic. What has happened in Homeland Security...
But Congressman, then you can't fund the villains. You guys control the party. You can't fund the villains.
I agree.
And your caucus has to get together.
Well, and the Republicans under Trump created this. You hired the villains who then turned around and spied on you. When will you learn that you cannot trust government and you can't make it bigger because it somehow benefits you? I digress. I just want to move on to the Joe Biden impeachment inquiry, once again ramping up. David Weiss, the special counsel in the Hunter Biden case, testifying behind closed doors before the House Judiciary Committee earlier today. Republicans on the committee were vocal in their frustrations over the very murky details of Weiss's authority over the case. Here's Congressman Jim Jordan.
Our committee sends a letter to the Attorney General on February 28th. He doesn't respond. We then send another letter to Attorney General Garland on May 25th, and he still doesn't respond, but he has David Weiss respond for him. That's the June 7th letter where he says, I have the ultimate authority to determine when, where, and whether to bring charges. We write him again. He sends another letter 23 days later on June 30th and says, actually, my charging authority is limited to my district in Delaware.
However, Weiss defended his actions during the proceedings, saying, quote, my team and I have made decisions based on the facts and the law. Political considerations played no part in our decision-making. Meanwhile, the House Oversight Committee is reportedly set to subpoena both Hunter and James Biden over their alleged corrupt business dealings. So, Congressman, are we going to get to the bottom of, was politics at play? Because I have my opinion, and I think Dagan does too, and I imagine you do as well. Was politics at play with the prosecution and the prosecution decisions made in Hunter Biden's case? Well, let's go there first. We're going to get to the truth.
Let's understand the special deal that David Weiss and the Attorney General Garland worked out for him for Hunter Biden is something we've almost never seen in law before. It was unbelievable. That's why the judge was so disgusted with it in Delaware and said, no, she wasn't going to go for it. This was going to relieve him of any responsibility for his misdeeds, for his crimes, not only now, but anything that they would find in the future. What American ever gets that kind of treatment? We know why. It's not by accident. We know that the power brokers were making sure this happened. There is so much that's wrong there with the money transfers, with the bank accounts, with the corporations. It is all there. We just have to make sure to dot the I's and cross the T's. I'm going to tell you, the stuff that is going on and has gone on is worse than anything that happened with Richard Nixon and Watergate. This is real corruption, influence peddling, and you know what really worries me the most? What we really should think about? What is our foreign policy based on? Is it based upon how much money Hunter Biden is making? Is it based on how much money James Biden is making? Is it based upon how much money goes into these dummy corporations? Is it based upon how much the president himself, when he was vice president, was getting into his accounts? This is wrong. We're selling our country out for money from other countries. I believe in America first, man. We're here to defend and stand up for the United States of America and not be bought off. No congressman, no president should ever do that.
Congressman, we also want to get your take on this. The House of Representatives is advancing the resolution to censor Michigan Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib over comments made after Hamas's brutal attacks, the massacre on Israel and Jewish residents there. Here's what she had to say about that on the House floor today.
So you can try to censor me, but you can't silence their voices. I urge my colleagues to join with the majority of Americans and support a ceasefire now to save as many lives as possible. President Biden must listen to and represent all of us, not just some of us. I urge the president to have the courage to call for a ceasefire and the end of killings.
How about Hamas surrender? How about release the hostages, Hamas surrender? Where do you stand on censoring her, Congressman?
Well, you know where I stand. I spoke on the floor about it today. I was there when she made her speech, which in my mind was disingenuous. That's not what she talked about. When she was with the protesters, they talked about death to America, death to Israel, from the river to the sea. They want to eradicate Israel. She's trying to take everybody's eye off the ball. Look, it's her right in America. You do have First Amendment rights. You can say whatever you want to say, but don't expect this Congress to think that's good. Don't expect this Congress to tolerate it. No congressperson should be doing that. And does she deserve to be censured for us to show that we as representatives of the United States of America think this is wrong? Absolutely. And let's understand what we're talking about here. What this was. This was a form of genocide. Babies' heads were cut off. Babies were put on fire. Women were beaten. They were raped. They were displayed. They were murdered. Mothers and fathers, grandmothers and grandfathers, children. I mean, this was disgusting. It's abhorrent, and it's something that nobody should ever agree with, go along with. Nobody in their right mind or with any true character in my mind, and I don't mean to be mean-spirited, but could ever be pro-Hamas. This is the face of evil.
It is the face of evil. Congressman Jeff Van Drew, one of the finest dressed members of Congress, thank you for joining us on The Bottom Line. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Congressman.
I appreciate you.